The second of our three modelling ideas for Network South East as part of the Network South East 40 commemorations takes us today onto the East Coast Main Line, and we're going to a location that's 10 miles north of London King's Cross, and it's Hadley Wood Station. The station is in the London Borough of Enfield and was managed during its time by Network South East, although intercity trains and freight trains and parcels trains all pass through. The station opened in 1885 and has been an ever-present ever since. Stopping services on the line at Hadley Wood will use platforms 1 and 4. The station does have 4 platforms, but the island platform, that's platforms 2 and 3, are closed off to the public. Although interestingly, as has been the case for many years, there's stairways go down to the platforms, but they are blocked off or with padlocked doors at the top on the passenger footbridge. Now, the passenger footbridge, it's worth mentioning to you, and I shall get this up right now for you, is a sort of wooden come perspex structure that is closed in, i.e. it's sheltered from the elements, although rather weather beaten as well. Hadley Wood Station was actually also featured in an edition of Crime Watch file called Railway Murders, where some scenes of a reconstruction of a surveillance operation were actually recorded at Hadley Wood Station. Hadley Wood Station is nowadays served by trains on the Moorgate to Welwyn Garden City axis, and these at the time of Network South East would have been formed of class 313 electric multiple units. Other NSC classes of units, such as the 317s, would have passed through the station non-stop. Also, intercity trains, which would normally have been hauled by a class 91, and also HSTs will sped through the station using the lines of platforms 2 and 3, and also parcel services could have used any of the 4 platform lines. Some freight trains would have passed through the station as well, most likely using platforms 2 and 3. Hadley Wood Station is located on Crescent West in Hadley Wood and Bartram's Lane. So if you want to check it out on Street View, please do so to get an idea of the ticket office. Now, the ticket office building might well be worth a scratch build, but you can also, if you so wish, use the Bachman utilitarian ticket office building that is on Clydebridge Station and just simply adapt that to your own needs. So, what will you need to build the station? Well, the main thing you're going to actually need here is overhead catenary, because Hadley Wood Station was in the GN Electrics area, and that first came online in 1976. Many people talk about the East Coast Main Line electrification being London to Edinburgh. It was actually from a point north of Hitchin to Edinburgh that the electrification took place. The lines south of that were actually electrified as far back as I say, 76. So overhead catenary will be required. You'll probably get the Pico wire and the West Hill Wagon Works catenary kits. Scale Model Scenery also do a variety of catenary kits as well. You'll need platforms as well, and I would recommend using the Scale Model Scenery platforms. Just please bear in mind that platforms 2 and 3, which is the island platforms, trains did not stop there, and as already mentioned, they were closed off to the public. So it might be a good idea to also put a few bits of scatter material down as well, to make the platforms look, shall we say, weather beaten, unused, that type of thing. Although the station name boards were on the platforms. Tunnel portals will be required at either end, because the station was actually in a tunnel, a cutting rather, with tunnel portals at either end, and they'll make good scenic breaks for you. And you'll need to make a road bridge between the northbound tunnel, or the northern tunnel portals, and the station. Crescent West, as I say, crosses over the line on a road bridge above the tracks. The footbridge, that's going to be a scratch build, and I would certainly urge you to go and check out photographs of Hadley Wood station to get an idea of the footbridge and the stairways down to the platforms. Although you won't need to actually make the stairs all the way into the from the platforms to platforms, from the bridge to platforms 2 and 3, just the last few steps will be needed. The station also has a shelter on platform 1, that's the down platform, on the down slow, and there's also a bus stop on Crescent West, and London Transport double-decker buses are plentiful out there for you to buy. To make the station signs, I would say have a check out on your internet search engine or eBay to see if you can find companies who make Network South East signs. In this case, it would probably be the flashes with the station name above. Now, what about the rolling stock? Well, this is quite a variety of rolling stock that you'll be using here. You'll need obviously either class 313s and or 317s, and I believe that there were a couple of other types of electric multiple unit that went on test there. You may be interested to know, during the 1989 timetable period, there were tests done with the class 321s between Doncaster Works and King's Cross, and on at least 2 occasions, 2 class 321s were coupled together to form a bank holiday relief from King's Cross to York, or King's Cross to Doncaster. These would not have stopped at Hadley Wood, but I would certainly say there'd be no harm in putting a couple of 321s speeding through Hadley Wood. Intercity, they were the prime user of the East Coast Main Line and thus the owner after 1991. They would have used, and this varies upon your time period, they would have used HSTs in 2+8 formation, and the power cars would have been in either Swallow or Executive. The coaching stock, which like the power cars you can get from a wide variety of sources, would have also been in either Swallow or Executive lettering. There are of course the hybrid trains, and this is where the Class 91 comes in, because the Class 91s, they used a Class 91 at the country end of the train, and whilst waiting on delivery of the Mark IV coaches, some Class 43 power cars, 8 in total, were converted to surrogate DVTs, and these had full yellow ends and of course buffers on them. So you can easily get a Class 91, a normal HST rake of 8 coaches. That's a TGS, 4 TSOs, a Buffy and 2 TFs, and at the London end of the train would have been the HST power car with buffers on it. Of course, as the Mark IV coaches came on stream, you'd have had the 91 5 TSOs or 6 TSOs, the restaurant car and 2 first class coaches, and the Mark IV DVT at the rear. and they would have worked in push-pull formation. Occasionally the intercity charter train visited King's Cross as well, and charter stock is available out there to purchase some Mark 1s, or you can alternatively purchase some Mark 1s with a grey roof and give the roofs, providing you mask the coaching up, give the roofs a quick spray 3 or 4 times of white paint to give them the charter train's white roof. Parcels trains would have been formed of usually class 47s, and these would have had a wide variety of vans with them. They would have also had TPOs in them as well. Now, one thing to mention to you as well about the class 47s is that in 1990 the class 47/7s were ousted from push-pull work in Scotland, and 11 went to Network South East, 5 went to Parcels, and it is known that at least 2 of them, 47704 and 47706, worked Parcels trains on the East Coast Line through Hadley Wood in ScotRail livery. 47706 was produced as a Kenner limited edition, and it was in its weather-beaten state from 1992 without the ScotRail branding, which had been removed when it went on loan to Network South East. I would say you can use a bit of modeller's license here and use the class 47/7 without its ScotRail branding on a Parcels train in the 91 period. I mean, after all, why can't we just rule one it? That's what I would say. Alternative liveries for the class 47s on Parcels trains would have been normal blue, large local blue, intercity executive, main line, the original Parcels red and grey livery, or just towards the end of 91, RES. Freight traffic was actually hauled by diesel locomotives, and this would consist mainly of sand traffic from near King's Cross, and it was often hauled by a class 56 or 2 class 31s. There were some other trains that went onto the East Coast Main Line through Hadley Wood, and these would have been hauled by class 47s, including some Freightliners. So Freightliner vehicles and sand vehicles and aggregates wagons are all readily available out there, and the liveries for the locomotives on these freight trains would have been BR blue, large local blue, rail freight grey, rail freight red stripe, or rail freight subsector. And you would have actually that would have applied to those main classes. You would not have seen class 58s, for instance, down near Hadley Wood, and I think by this time of 1988 to 91, I think class 37s were very, very rare, if they even ventured down to King's Cross at all. So that's Hadley Wood Station, the second of our 3 Network South East at 40 modelling ideas. The last one that's going to be coming up for you will be Andover in Hampshire, a pure diesel run. We'll see you for that. In the meantime, whatever you're doing, do take care of yourselves, watch and enjoy your race, and we'll see you soon. And happy birthday Network South East. Cheerio!